right, we are so excited to be back in the kitchen with you guys. We're going to be making some shepherd's pie. It's a recipe that hopefully you'll be able to duplicate at home. Ms. Spector is over in her kitchen working on it. I'm going to be doing it here. All right, so the recipe is going to be on your Google Classroom under the recipe tabs in classwork. Okay, I'm ready, Ms. Spector. I have my mise en place, everything in its place. Everything's set over here and good to go. How does it look over at your place?
It's looking amazing. I just want to send out a shout out to all of our kids and that we miss you terribly. And to thank Miss Palm for putting this together. So hopefully it turns out well. We've missed getting up in front of the classroom, so this is our way in.
For sure. All right, my pan is nice and hot. It's a little too hot. Maybe I was heating it up while we were getting ready to tape. So my pan is on about a 6, and I'm going to go ahead and heat up the safflower oil, which I'm using to substitute for the sunflower oil because the properties of these two oils are so similar that they're interchangeable pretty much. So I'm going to heat that up and add in my carrots and onions. And then I'm going to just soften these up for a few minutes. What do you have going on over there, Ms. Spector?
All right, so I have, I cannot find the sunflower oil, so I'm just going to go extra virgin olive oil. I love that. I think it cooks up really well. I'm going to go ahead and just brown my hamburger because I did a different substitution, so I don't have to cook up my carrots. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, and I'm going to season up my hamburger. What I'm going to use for that is some salt. I'm going to use some salt, some pepper. I like a little spice. I'm going to put some paprika in there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Italian seasoning in there. I think rosemary and thyme really just add nice flavor to it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there now. And I season my hamburger in the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now.
Perfect. Before we get too far, I just want to mention that I am doubling my recipe over here. So the original recipe will call for the yield is a serving of 4, but I'm doubling it, so I will have a yield that serves 8. Instead of the ground beef, the price has gone up lately and it's a little bit hard to find. But the stores have lots and lots of lamb because not a lot of people love it. But fortunately, people in my house really like lamb. So I'm going to use the ground lamb. It's like a minced lamb, which is really a traditional Scottish way to make shepherd's pie, actually. So I think it'll be really good in there. You could also do a ground turkey. But if you do the ground turkey, I feel like almost you'd have to do those sweet potatoes instead of regular white potatoes.
And Ms. Palmer, I just want to point out that, again, with cooking, we're not baking, so be a little bit adventurous in what you use. You know, whatever seasonings you have will be great. You just want to bring out that flavor. So have fun. Like when we're in the classroom, we tell you to go to the spice cabinet. Have fun. Figure out what works. That's the beauty of cooking. You can see what works and what doesn't.
Absolutely. I agree. To be a little more carefree. It's not an exact science like baking. All right, so I'm putting my ground lamb in there. And you can see that I'm just kind of breaking up this ground meat as I go along. And any of the ground meats that you use, you'll do this same method. You're just going to keep using your wooden spoon or your rubber spatula like I have here, whatever tool you're using, and just keep breaking it up as it cooks. I'm going to go ahead and season my beef up a little bit, or and just green peppercorns because I like it red and black. I don't know why. A little green pepper there, and then some salt. The recipe doesn't really call for seasoning it, but I agree with Ms. Spector. I think that it kind of should season every layer as you go along when you just add.
My hamburger is all cooked through. Remember, we're looking for that nice browned up hamburger, not really any pink in there. I do have some fat in there, so I'm just going to drain off some of it now. And then I'm just going to wait until we get to the next step.
Okay, perfect. I'm a little bit behind, but it's coming. Still some pink in here. See that? Yeah. Yep. And
yep.
Okay, we are back. Ms. Spector and I have both drained our meat already, and we're ready to go on our next steps. So I'm going to just go ahead and add some canned corn because I had it and corn, so I'm just gonna put that in there before I add, I'm gonna add my tomato puree. I did have some puree at home, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. And I did not have Worcestershire sauce, so I'm gonna use instead steak sauce. I get HP because it's my initials and it makes me happy. A little bit of a cheese ball. And the recipe calls for one large splash, I believe. So I'm going to put a dollop in. It's a little bit thicker than what Worcestershire sauce would be. So I think that'll do. How about you, Ms. Spector?
All right. So what I'm going to do now, like I was mentioning before, I did not use fresh carrots. When I went to the grocery store, it was pretty slim pickings. So I'm going to use canned carrots and peas. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already drained them. I have 2 cans. So they just look like that, 2 cans. I'm going to go ahead and put them in there. I'm going to go ahead now and put in, I did not have any Worcestershire sauce, so I did a substitution. So what you can do, there are tons of different options out there, but what I used was ketchup, and I believe it's 1-to-1. So 1 tablespoon of ketchup and 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And then I put in a little bit of spice, some crushed red pepper. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and add that in there now. Instead of tomato puree, I'm gonna go ahead and use ketchup. We wanted to kind of show you what we had at home, because you can make this with almost anything. So it's a 1-to-1 substitution. But since ketchup's a little tart, I'm just gonna go ahead, it calls for 2 tablespoons. I'm just gonna go ahead and do 1.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead, Ms. Spector, and move on to the beef stock. I used for beef stock, I didn't have canned or boxed beef stock, so I had this little beef stock from Concentrate. So I just followed the directions on the box and mixed it with some boiling water. It's the same there.
So similar to Mrs. Palm, I did not have any beef stock when I went to the grocery store. They had chicken broth, they had chicken bone broth, but the beef stock, the beef broth seemed to have been out, and I guess maybe they knew we were doing this video. So what I did is I got beef bouillon, and they come in these little squares right here, and it's just 1 cup to 1 cube. So I have 16 ounces and 2 cubes. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in.
Perfect. All right, now what we're looking for is we want to bring this up to a simmer. So remember when you see those little bubbles all over the surface. So not big rolling boil with big bubbles, but little bubbles all over, and it will start really right around the outside, and you'll see it working pretty good. So once it comes up to a simmer, we're going to put a lid on it, and it's going to cook for 40 minutes. Halfway through, though, you're going to remove the lid so that the sauce can really begin to thicken up, and some of the extra liquid will evaporate. So a really good time right now to take a look at your dishes around. What have you used that you can get rid of? What kind of, how much cleaning can you do in space right now? So I'm going to take a minute and do that while we're just waiting on this.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and put my stuff away as well. It's a great idea.
It has come to a simmer, so I'm going to go ahead and put that lid on it.
Okay.
Now we're going to start, while that is doing its thing, we're going to go ahead and work on our mashed potatoes. Ms. Spector, you are doing what? What did you find?
And so I went a little bit different. So what you can do if you go to the grocery store and maybe the potatoes don't look as fresh or as good, or there's not that many selection, you can go to your frozen section, and they have, these look like the or Ida, what you would get for like frozen french fries, but they're home style steam and mash. So these are cubed frozen potatoes. You're going to microwave them for 10 minutes, and then you're going to fix them up just like you would with regular mashed potatoes. So I'm going to put mine in the microwave. It says you just put it in the bag for 10 minutes, and then you bring it out, you cut it open, and then you're going to prepare it. So I'm going to go ahead and put mine in the microwave while you talk about yours.
Nice. All right. So I am going to use some instant mashed potatoes instead. I happen to have these in the cupboard, and so rather than, potatoes are still readily available more or less, but I'm going to go ahead and use these, a little bit easy, and I'm going to just go ahead and do them up on the stove top. I'm just gonna follow the directions. You can do them in the microwave too, but I'm gonna go ahead and put them on the top. All right, so my water is coming to a boil. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off the heat. All I need to do with these guys is just mix the pouches in, whip it with a fork, cover it up, and let it sit for 5 minutes. Couldn't be easy.
All right, so for mine, all right, remember I'm using the frozen. So they are out of the microwave for 10 minutes. So what it says is to go ahead and cut. Remember, it's gonna be hot, so be careful when you cut these open. You don't wanna get the steam in your face, okay? And so if I can get the steam out of the way, maybe I can show you. They look just like, because they are real potatoes, but it just takes out some of the prep work that you have to do. So let's see if I can show you. Okay. So they look just like real potatoes, like you would if you were to cut them yourself.
Cool.
Okay. So what you're gonna do for mashed potatoes, I don't think we got to this during the school year. So the recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of milk. I went ahead and put that in there because I want the heat of the potatoes to go ahead and just kind of lay on top of the butter to help melt it. But I also seasoned it. I put some salt, some pepper, some garlic in there, and then also, again, paprika. We like a little bit with some spice. So I'm going to go ahead and pour it in. And then I'm going to start to mash. You're going to get all away. You're going to use your masher. Okay. And then you want to look for the consistency of mashed potatoes, but you want it to be not chunky. You want it to be kind of smooth. There are all different types of mashed potatoes that you can make. So there's really no right or wrong way. It's your preference. Some people, when they make mashed potatoes, they leave the skin on the potato for some texture. And some people like to whip their potatoes, so they can use kind of like Miss Palm's getting ready to do.
So I'm not going to be using it, but I heard Miss Spector going in this general direction, so I thought I'd get out my stick blender. This is
Thank you.
use if you like creamy potatoes. This guy is your good friend.
Yes. And those are going to be how you make that nice whipped potato. So mine is almost done. This was very easy.
All right, so we are at our halfway point for the meat mixture on the stove top. So remove our lids and those aside. This is a really good opportunity now. We know that everything's cooked. We know it's safe. We're going to go ahead and take another taste and then add any other seasoning you want in there. And let it thicken up a little bit. Let it bubble and simmer for another 20 minutes without the lid on it. And let that liquid on. Pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add some more salt, pepper. And I like the idea of that thyme, so I might go grab some thyme from, I have some growing in a pot outside.
Very good. Yes, I'm going to add a little bit more seasoning to mine. Just some more salt, pepper, and paprika. But very good flavor.
Yeah. I think I'm ready. Mine is just about down there. Lots of simmering was happening over here, so I'm ready to put it in the pan.
Nice. Okay, I am good to go. I went ahead and got my dish out. I'm going to try to show you really quickly what it looks like. Let's see if you can see. Okay, so we have some nice browned, yummy meat and good vegetables. And I'm going to go ahead and put my mashed potatoes on top. I ended up making both bags because I was worried that was I going to have enough potatoes. You can never have enough potatoes.
No, I agree. I think once they get crunchy and golden and crispy on top, it's going to be so yummy.
Oh, yes.
All right, so once you get your potatoes on top there, you just have to spread them around. Make sure you cover the entire dish. Yeah,
you don't want to give someone a slice without any potatoes. They're not going to be happy.
No. And then once you get them all, once they're all spread out, we're going to take a fork and just kind of rough it up. Make little kind of like ruffles on top so that it makes all these little peaks that when it's in the oven then cooking, it's going to brown them up real nice. All right, I think I'm ready.
All right. Heavy.
I know, right? Nice. Beautiful.
Nice job. All right.
Should we
Right in the oven?
into the oven and
Okay.
then eat back here in 20, 25 minutes. We'll let it cool a little so we can taste it. All right.
All right.
Is it done?
It's done, Miss Palm.
Nice. That's good. How's it look?
Looks good. Let me put it down.
Beautiful.
Yay!
And now the good part, we get to
eat.
eat.
Ooh.
All right, I see Miss Spector serving it up over there. I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece out. Let it cool a little bit more on the plate. If we need to. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of parsley on mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's very heavy on the mashed potatoes, but I think that's gonna be tasty.
Yeah, so is mine. Yep. So there we go.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Very good.
Jamie, that looks like it's gonna burn your mouth.
All right.
Ready?
Right. Oh yeah. It would. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good.
So nice having dinner with you, Miss Spector.
You too. And I hope everyone enjoyed our little video. I know we enjoyed making it. So
If you if you go to the recipe in Google Classroom and scroll all the way to the bottom of it, you will see we added a substitution page with the substitutions that we use and also some other options if you don't have milk, what can you use instead? So, all right, kiddos, we can't wait to see you back in the
miss you so much.
Bye.
Bye.